morning and welcome. I'm just not exactly sure how to call Daisy in, but she is here.
Here I am.
Oh, there we go. Hi, Daisy. Welcome, welcome. Always an honor and privilege and exciting to have you with us. And thank you so much for this really long haul. You know, we've been going since end of March, and we're literally almost in December. So it's been fantastic. The amount of information you've shared with us has been just phenomenal. Those of us who are studying and finishing off the IMUNE license course as well, it's been a real privilege and pleasure to have this live interaction, and the people that have been listening in as well. Really gems of information. And Daisy, everybody gets the live recording, and you know, they ask me for it if they don't get it, so they really are you know, listening and treasuring your information. Thank you so much. So today we're going to talk about the 5 senses, and hopefully a bit of ESP, and hopefully a bit of artificial intelligence. I just think we should maybe you know, open a little bit of a debate on that, because I feel a bit uncomfortable about artificial intelligence, to be honest with you, and I'm not even sure it's really part of this earthly dispensation. I'm not even sure where it even comes from, and maybe you could share a little bit of light. And what I would really love to do, Daisy, if we could, is talk about how do we pick it up on the device. And because I've been seeing some strange things with people with cancer and, you know, psychic attacks and things like that. And I don't know, but you shed some light on how we find it with our devices and how we can actually maybe detox. Maybe it's happening anyway, I don't know. But if we could do that, that would be just marvelous.
What are you actually saying?
Pardon?
What are you actually saying?
What am I saying?
Yeah, what are you
I'm saying that I think that people have been fiddled with. And
people are what?
They're being fiddled with. I think our intelligence has been fiddled with through GMO, through the food, obviously vaccinations, and I think that it's created some.
If you're talking about, see, I don't understand exactly what you mean by artificial intelligence. Basically, a vaccination doesn't have an intelligence. It's you know, what you're saying is that somebody's putting some type of nanotechnology into
Yes.
the vaccination. Okay.
Well,
if you're talking about an intelligence, an artificial intelligence, I'm going to tell a story. Okay, before we do our census thing, I'll tell you a story. This has happened with many. I've had many, you know, people. But I'm going to tell. This is probably a summary. The woman is from Colorado, and she gives me a call, and she says that there's some type of chip in her ear. Somebody has put an electronic chip in her ear, and they can listen to whatever she says, and they can give her impulses to do things, and then they can sometimes talk to her. So she tells me this, and I say, okay, and I have an open mind. So I invited her to come over here, you know, spend time with us, come over here. Well, we won't reveal any names or anything, okay? And when she gets here, she tells me the story about how her neighbor worked at a very large plant in Colorado, a plant that works with NASA, you know, jet engines and all these different types of things. You know, they're really into types of technology and such. And her neighbor worked there as a secretary. Now, the woman in question, the woman who, you know, comes here, she is basically unemployed. She was an ex-prostitute. There's nothing special about her. There would be no real reason to put a chip in her ear unless you were, you know, experimenting. Unless you were experimenting, you know, and they put a chip in her ear. So I still have an open mind. So she tells me the story about how her neighbor who worked at this jet engine plant, that they had a fight and etc. And she believes that this company is putting this chip into her ear and they're using this to control her. And she tells me that she got the chip before the fight. So you kind of, I tried to understand this. So anyway, with an open mind, she's over here. We take her down, we get her x-ray. And there is something in her ear. There is a little thing in the ear. Without doing surgery, because she didn't want to do surgery, it was in there. It was nestled in the ear. To do surgery, there was a chance that she would lose her hearing. But there was something that was not appropriate there. But when we checked it as best we could with some very sophisticated X-ray and visual equipment, this thing had an electronic nature, but it was not electronic. It was made of certain type of metal parts, but it did not seem to be of any type of earth technology. Now, she made the insistence that this was the plant, in Colorado who made this. And I said, listen, if this plant in Colorado made this, they would be telling everybody about it because they would want to make money with it. They would market it. I said, then what this thing was something, and I wanted to do some more investigation, but she clung to the belief that her friend was doing this to her. Her friend who was just a lowly, small, part-time secretary. And she wanted her friend to go to jail. I could see no connection there. I could see nothing but she was so focused on that emotionally that thereby I couldn't help her. I kept trying to tell her that obviously there was something there. Let's try to pursue it. The next step would be to have it surgically removed. She didn't want to do that. She also, I said, I'll try to help you in other ways, but I just need you to back off on your insistence. It wasn't like she thought it was possible her friend was doing this to her. No, she knew it. There was a group of these people, faceless people in the corporation, who were doing this to her, and she wanted them to pay. And I said, if those people had anything like this in the technology that could do this, believe me, they would be marketing it. And I don't think that they would be experimenting on her. And since she was over here talking to me, and they would obviously know about it, you see? So in other words, the whole story didn't put together. So, but then I get online and I find out that there's another 1,000+ people with the same story. There's a lot of people out there with the same damn story. Oh, fine. So I started to make, connections with them. And every time I find the connection and talk to these people, I find some emotional clinging to some irrationality. So maybe the chip is doing that. Maybe the chip is making them irrational. Where did the chip come from? From what I could tell of what I know of, and I'm a scientist, and I keep abreast of everything. This was some type of biological entity, not of a human, technology. So, is it possible that there are UFOs, aliens on the planet? I think it's highly, highly, highly possible. I think it's almost a certainty. I've met with them. I think I told you the story about that. Did I tell you? Okay. Well, after we show the census thing, I'll tell you the story about that. No, there are definitely. Look at this gigantic galaxy. Universe. Just our galaxy, and there's billion, zillion other galaxies beyond what we know. Infinity to the power of infinity. And what infinity means is that it's so vast, it goes on forever and ever and ever. Everything that you can imagine is possible, not just possible, it happens because it's infinity. So I'm sure that there are people, that there are UFOs on the planet. Are they experimenting with such technology? I'm sure. My machine picked up some irregularities when I tested these people. Not enough that I. Not
did
enough.
It say it was an alien? Did it say an alien life form, or what? How did the irregularities express?
Yeah, the alien life form on board. That means that there's two personality engrams. That doesn't mean that there's a chip. No, the alien life form that happens. I made a joke with that. And if the machine picks up two personality engrams, different, as it's checking your brainwave, then it makes that statement. When you do me, I always get it. There's a male and female side in me, that's very strong, and I always get that. And the truth is, I don't know. I never do anything about it because I don't know which one I want to get rid of. I'm happy with the way I am. But if you want to attack the back one, and usually you'll find some people are in a dominant relationship, etc., etc. So now, if you're talking about vaccinations in nanotechnology, I can tell you that our human technology is not there to do things like this. We don't have human technology that is in our literature. I believe that possibly aliens have given technology to us, but so I cannot find enough of a profile that I could tell you that this is a person with a chip and this is not a person with a chip. I can't really, I don't know. I do know that when I check those people, there's certain things that I find, certain reactions to different things. I did write a paper about this a while back, and I'll see if I can find that.
And what about psychic attack? Would it not fall under psychic attack?
Well, now psychic attack is non-technology, and psychic attack is definitely that's since the beginning of human history, we've believed in spiritual forces. We believed in the evil eye. The word flu, we say influenza, and that comes from influence, because people thought that you got the flu was evil eye. Every time you got sick, it was because somebody was giving you the evil eye, and you were under their influence. So that's where we get the word flu.
That's amazing.
So, and Samuel Hahnemann, when asked what was the primary cause of disease, because he worked with with a great guy who put all these things together, and finally, he talked about all the similia and like treating like and all this stuff. And finally, somebody got down to him and said, "What's the cause of disease?" He said, "Well, the major cause of disease is bad karma and spiritual outside influence." So that's what he believed. Of course, this was in back in the 1700s. But still, yeah, it's undeniable that these things happen. There's definitely spiritual, powers, moving around. And I won't say walking because I don't think they quote walk. But I think that you have to do something, and I know that Rita and I developed the angel protection electroceuticals to play, and most of them have a dark screen, so you can play them at night. And we sleep in a room that's about 10 meters away from the big television. And on the big television, where the dogs sleep, I play these protections. And inside there is the basic prayers of Solomon to help to chase away, spirits and protect the house and protect us. And if there are certain times that when we don't, I forget to turn it on, and things happen. And we had some. There was a friend of Rita's a couple years back, and she started to make friends with Rita, and I started to pick up something that was about her. And she came in here, and the dogs went crazy. Oh, the dogs went crazy. And I played. There's a certain tune that I found when I worked with the aliens. There's a certain sonic vibration that irritates these certain of these lizard aliens, the quote Illuminati. And I played that for her. She went crazy. She went berserk. So I believe that she was one of the Illuminati. And one night she came here, and she visited, and then she left, and this thing came into the living room. I must sound like a real crazy person, but I'm telling you, this happened. This electrical thing came into the living room.
Yeah.
And Tyson jumped up in the air and did it, and it lifted Tyson off the ground. Tyson had a hold of it, and it kind of looked like there was an electrical thing swirling around. It had kind of a human shape, but it actually lifted Tyson up in the air. Little Tiggy run at it, and the thing kicked Tiggy, and then I started to come at it, and it let go of Tyson, and it ran through the wall, and the possible, we have the possible protection, the orgone generator, and it ran into the possible, got sucked up into the negative energy, and was dissipated, and we never had it again.
If I may say something here, that I believe that this artificial intelligence thing is also highly affected and powered by the smartphones and the internet content. So social media can highly affect these vibrations, and also the music what we are listening to, the applications we are downloading to our telephones, because I believe everything has a frequency, a resonance, and the music energy. And anything, what even we watch on the screen, and it is audiovisual, like we see it, we hear it, we feel it, it can affect the body and the mind and the aura and our energy field. So sometimes if you watch like a horrific movie or you see a brutal image, that can also attract entities or bad energies, negative vibrations, and that can also put us on a higher stress level, lowering our immune system, and maybe lead us to some energy fields where we don't want to be.
Yeah, so it's really strange that, what's happening. You're asking about people playing with us, and that's just undeniable,
But social media is a very, very powerful tool to manipulate and control people, because it is now 80% of people are living on social media, internet, online, everything.
Yeah, more and more people. And if you watch the movie Social Dilemma, we watched it.
Oh, it is a high addiction.
If you watch it, you can see that the people who run Facebook and Twitter and all these, they subtly know how to influence your mind.
And take over your thoughts, your feelings.
They don't know how to take over. They can influence you.
What I mean, take over by, they watch what you like, what are your interests.
And they can guide you.
Yeah. And if you don't use the smartphone, or if you don't use your phone as much as you usually do, then you get a beep, you get an alert, you get a message.
Now, who's behind this? And basically, why is Facebook free? Twitter, these things are free. Well, there's who pays the bill? The large, evil, ultra-rich corporations buy the data. In other words, they literally buy the data and they influence the people who are listening, the participants, get them to buy things. They can help control them. Now, is it ultimate control? No, it's very, very subtle. It's very, very subtle, but yet it's hard to get rid of.
And it is a very, very easy way to find out more information, how much money people spend, where they are traveling, what are their likes, what are they interested in. And this is a way to control our whole planet because you know everything about people, what they buy, where they work, what is their education, what kind of things they want to buy, they want to order, they want to do. That's why I was sharing last time that skipping with all online media and social media is a really, really high benefit of decreasing stress. And now I put my Facebook back because of the work and all my contacts, but I'm planning on using it less and less because it made a significant improvement on my mental health.
Yeah, you see. So the thing will our devices pick it up? Will they pick up something that's funny going on with us or people that are coming to see us?
Well, yeah, but I don't have a function that actually comes up and says, "Hey, it's very subtle," and everything we're talking about is very subtle. We have to be able to know where there's social media addiction, what to do about it, all of these different things.
You think that it is connected with the 5G or is there something else?
The 5G is an irritant. It's a very low level irritant. However, it is an irritant.
Have you loaded 5G onto the software?
Okay. Yeah, we're in the process of doing that. But we don't have 5G here. Okay. So we don't have that. So I can't really experiment with it. Okay. But what I do know is that the people who are in those locations, there's a tiny little irritant being applied to your skin. Very, very little. Now, let's realize that there's an irritant applied to every human being since the beginning of time from cosmic rays that are coming in from the outside. So there's always some type of electromagnetic stress. And the cosmic microwave background radiation from the Big Bang is filling up the universe and has been there since the beginning of history, all the way back to the Big Bang. And people are swimming in it. And we talk about places that are hell, like deep down in the planet. And we say, because I believe that this cosmic microwave radiation is kind of a God consciousness connection. And when you get away from it, that we talk about the devil. The devil's in hell. He's in the cave. He's deep down. So I think that then you're getting isolated from the God frequency of the cosmic microwave radiation. I put those functions on the machine. When we get the machine hooked up, I'll show you where the functions are.
All right.
I don't get a chance to lecture about too many of these things because people don't always ask me the questions. All of these things are happening. I want to show the video about the 9 senses. We have a lot more senses than 5. I want us to understand what we have thought about the human being up till now. It now needs to be expanded. So I want to show that little video, and then we can talk more, and I'll tell you about the.
All right. Thank you. I'm ready.
Jane, did you ask anybody?
There's 9 that have study. Now, the old ideas that there is taste, touch, haptic, the sense of touch. But these are our senses. These are our senses to us to relate to the world.
Receptors in the skin provide us with tactile information about qualities like the position, shape, texture, pressure, and movement of things we come in contact with.
In addition to the typical sense of touch, we also have the other senses, the known senses, affecting our emotions. And all the senses will be affecting the emotions, even the new ones we're proposing. Sight, the classic, vision, to be able to see photons, electromagnetic radiation. Hearing, taking vibrations, subtle, tiny little vibrations, converting them into messages inside the brain. Then the sense of smell, the sense of taste. They're very, very similar. and they work on electromagnetic sensing, voltammetric detection of different substances.
These sense organs give us information that goes to the brain, which actually interprets the information. These are just sensors. But speaking of sensors, we have to recognize that there's a sense of balance. It has its own organ inside the ear, and it's a separate thing from hearing that allows us to sense balance and be able to walk, play basketball, football, all the different sports.
Here we have a man trying to learn balance blindfolded. Now we get a lot of cues from our eyes. Now when the cues from our eyes are gone, very difficult for him to maintain that balance. But yet there is a deep sense of balance. And after enough practice, he's going to be able to develop that. He's going to be able to get over the link, the loss of the eyesight, and then using that sense of balance in the different parts of the inner ear. It's a separate thing from hearing, separate thing from vision. He will be able to develop balance because it is a separate sense. It has its own sensory organ, different from hearing, different from sight.
There definitely is indeed a circadian rhythm sense that's based on the pineal gland. It is light sensitive, but it's not really an eye. So it doesn't really have a vision that it focuses, but more of an intensity. And it develops our daily rhythm as the sun wakes us up in the morning, sparks of different hormones, and creates a whole idea. So there really is a circadian rhythm sense.
And yes, the pineal gland has its own type of light sensor, different than the eyes. It really works on a different type of frequency, different types of everything. So it's a separate sense, the circadian rhythm. It has to be dealt with as a new sense.
An electrosense. This has been well documented in many, many fish, most importantly the shark.
Now the shark was first found to have a system in his nose to be able to detect electrical phenomena at a distance.
All sharks are attracted to the weak electromagnetic fields of their prey, but it's thought that the hammerhead's extra-wide head shape gives it an especially sensitive detector. To find out just how sensitive, Steve is using electric currents to create these fields and see what field strength they can detect. The circle of cable on the left has a current running through it, while the one on the right has none at all.
How minor is this current we're talking about? This current that you're putting in here?
Right.
How minor is it?
What I'm applying right now is 7.7 microamps, 5 nanovolts per centimeter, 5 billionths of a volt per centimeter.
It's an incredibly small figure.
The way to think about that would be to take a standard flashlight battery and stick one lead in the water in Boston, and the other lead in the water in Miami. And a shark swimming directly between those two leads would be able to detect that minute amount of current flowing between those two leads.
Just a little torch battery.
That's right, that's right.
And that's about 1,500 kilometers or so.
Right, what's that? Yeah. It's tiny.
That's amazing.
Yes, an amazing display of the electrosense.
Even though they look identical, the target on the left attracts all the shark's attention. So Steve knows they're not attracted by visual cues, just a tiny magnetic field.
But there is definitely an electrosense in the human being. It is very weak, but there is an electrosense. It's also coupled with the nose, but still, it has to have something to do with some other different ideas. And I think that we have to include it as its own separate sense.
We now find out that that same type of electrical analysis, that electrosense that we all have, as Spidey tells us, we all have an electrosense. That electrosense is in the human being been translated into the nasal pharynx and also all the different cells of the body. But the nasal pharynx has the most intense collection because this is where the shape receptors are. Now for the shark living in salt water, there's a direct electroconductivity between the substances that have an electrical field and the shark's nose. However, in air, as we live in, the air is not electroconductive. So thereby we have taste sensors in the tongue and nose and shape receptors that allow those things to come in and touch.
And then we would be fools to not recognize the ESP, or the sixth sense that many people have talked about. It is undeniably a factor that it exists. It can be well documented, even though it is not as reliable. Reliability is not really the basis. In fact, it only takes one white crow to prove that there are white crows. We don't have to find a whole flock, or what they call a murder of crows. We don't have to find a whole murder of white crows to prove that there is a white crow. We only have to have one. And there is definitely many evidences for the ESP sense.
The kids could still read and write using these blindfolds. All doubt among the crew would be extinguished.
Okay, I'm going to write something on this paper, and you'll tell me what I wrote, right? Okay, here we go. It's going to be one word.
Light.
That was so fast.
Can I write something?
Yes, you can. Actually, can I draw something and then you redraw it? Okay. Okay. I don't know if you can tell what this is.
Car.
What? I didn't even point it at you yet.
The ideal age to learn is between 5 and 12. Nicholas says after 12, the left side of the brain, both critical and logical, interferes with the spiritual lessons.
And run down your arm, jump off your fingers, and go and touch something in front of you. Feel it with your energy, anything you like. And then come all the way back in, run up your arm, back in your head.
I'm confident. I can do anything.
And I can do anything. You might say God was fair to children. He gave them the power to believe in themselves without any doubt, making it easy to tap into their full potential. Walt Disney said, "The problem with the world is that too many people grow up."
These children are taught to not depend on their vision, but to actually expand their mind using extrasensory perception that they don't have to quite understand in order for it to happen. So even completely 100% blindfolded, they're taught to develop these techniques.
Can I read blindfolded?
So with this in mind, I welcome you now to study with us about the 9 senses and to look at different things and how we can measure this, treat it, and learn about the sensory organs for our people. So I welcome you to our course on the 9 senses.
All of our senses are quite complicated. Now let's look at the sense of touch, the haptic sense. Tactile.
Merkel's discs are slowly adapting receptors that have very small receptive fields and high spatial resolution. They are especially dense in the fingertips and are best suited for processing information about shape and texture. Meissner's corpuscles are rapidly adapting receptors. They have relatively small receptive fields, but their spatial resolution is inferior to that of Merkel's discs. They are especially effective at transmitting information about movement between the skin and another surface. This can be used to sense texture and to detect if an object is sliding past the skin, which is important for maintaining grip. Pacinian corpuscles are rapidly adapting receptors with very large receptive fields. They are thought to be most effective at transmitting information about vibrations objects cause when they are contacted or grasped by the hand. This information may be important for the use of tools. Ruffini's endings are slowly adapting receptors with large receptive fields. They are poorly understood but seem to respond most to skin stretching, like what would occur with the movement of the fingers. This information might be especially important in generating awareness of finger and hand position.
If you watch the video about those kids, there's a couple of them. And I posted them on our on the Ask site, so you'll be able to see them. And it's amazing. I just picked these things up today. These kids, they're playing ball blindfolded. They're reading newspapers. It's amazing, and they show it. It's absolutely amazing, and they teach them, but they can't teach adults because adults, won't believe. But they can teach these children. It's absolutely amazing. So we do have a much deeper perspective now of the senses. The idea is a sense of balance. It's got its own organ. inside the ear. It's a separate thing from hearing. It's a separate thing from sight. Okay? We have the circadian, thing, which is connected to our pineal gland, the third eye. And it's another light sensitive, but it's not the same as the eye. It's not a vision. It's a different type of perception. It's a different type of sense, but it has its own organ. Now, we don't know exactly where then the electrosense. And the electrosense in the human body is concentrated on the skin. It's concentrated on the skin, the external, in the shape receptors, and in the nasal pharynx. So that's where the electrosense. As far as the ESP goes, we don't really know. We don't know if there's any organ for that, or is it a function of the whole? Is it a complete function of the whole? But we can no longer hide from these things. Science can no longer hide. This is why the education that's being done in medical schools is so backwards, is so blindsided. In IMUNE, I'm teaching you about breatharians, people who don't eat. They don't drink. I'm teaching you about ESP. We have to broaden our mind to look at an entire world, you see. And now we open up, and there is the fact of people trying to hurt us by manipulating. We're talking about this, quote, artificial intelligence. That really means that something's making decisions. I program our system with artificial intelligence. Let me explain. I program our system that as you are working with your patients, for about the first 100 patients or so, back in the back of our software, there's an artificial intelligence that's working with you and looking about how fast you're moving the mouse, how fast you make the decisions, what parts of the program do you use the most, where are you most successful? And then I program that into a subspace connection. So after about 100 visits, 100 patients, then the machine can talk to you. You've probably seen this. Every now and then the machine comes up and says, oh, you're having a bad day. You need to do something. And that is designed because gradually your computer, your system becomes more one with you and starts to work with you stronger. It becomes a thing. There's a lot of people who would tell me, I can't give up my SCIO, it's my best friend,
It's true.
Yeah, because you do, you start to bond, with inanimate objects,
Yes, I have a very nice comment to that. We had a lady who wanted to upgrade to the EDUCTOR, and then she's still trying to make savings because she said that she bonded with her SCIO so deeply, energetically, that she doesn't want to do the trading, and she wants to keep the SCIO, and she wants to have an extra EDUCTOR.
I told her keep the SCIO, but use it for different things, use it for subspace sessions, etc. The subspace connections inside your SCIO will not degrade over time. The only thing that degrades over time is the electrical functions, you see. The harness, that type of stuff. That will have a very slow depreciation, let's call it, degradation, about 1% or so a year. But you can imagine we have people with 20-year-old SCIOs. If you're looking at 1% a year, now we're up to like 25%. So you do need to upgrade if you're doing it. But that's for the biofeedback, connections, not so much the subspace.
And my other short little comment, as soon as our computers or TVs or smartphones break down, if we treat these devices with a little bit of love and gratitude and kindness, I believe that this can also affect the correction and the repairment, because I believe that everything around us, even artificial and electronic systems, have an energy field, and they are reacting on high and positive vibrations. So I I try to treat all my devices with kindness and with gratitude.
Scientists have found that your shoes repair overnight. Literally, that your shoes and your clothes that get stretched and etc. There's some type of a shape memory that they do, and that there's small little repairs that are made. So sometimes you take a pair of shoes and you stretch them a little bit, and you put them back in the closet, and you won't wear them for a while. A couple months later, you take them out, and oh my God, they fit nicer. There really is something, and so everything has a type of consciousness, and you should recognize that.
Everything has an energy field. Everything resonates with everything you think. And love, gratitude, and kindness has the highest vibration and highest and most powerful frequency. So I believe that all our equipment, all the house, the building, everything reacts to these high vibrations because everything has a vibrational level and the frequency.
Everything has a shared consciousness. So let me tell you the story about the UFOs. This was years ago, and I didn't really believe in the UFOs. I kind of heard about it. I keep an open mind. And somebody called me up and said that one of the lizard people, one of the Illuminati lizard people, wanted to meet me in Mexico. We were having a Congress in Cabo, and they said, could they meet with me and talk? I said, fine. So we went there. I had cameras. I asked for, if I could photograph. They said, yeah, no problem. This very, very handsome man came in, sat down. Very, very handsome, kind of spooky handsome, like movie star handsome, And on his right, he had three extremely beautiful blondes. The kind of blondes, kind of women that you couldn't take your eyes off of, But on his left hand, he had three brunettes, just as beautiful. So we came in, sat down, and then him and I started to talk. My cameraman shot all of this, and you'll see the tape if you ask for it. I have that. The cameras did not pick up the women. They don't appear in the camera. It's never anyone. But the man did, and he talked to me, and he said that basically. And he pointed one direction up in the air, and he said, he comes from that star, which was 55 light years away, or 1,000 light years. And I said, yeah, right, okay. And he said, and there's a lizard race, He's a member of that lizard race. And that they have the ability to become an energy form. And they've come to the world, and they work with another human being with permission. So this energy form that he told me he was, that the human and the lizard had given permission to be together. He pointed the other direction. He said, now way down there, about 75 light years away, is another lizard community. And these are lizards that don't ask for permission. These are what he called the evil lizards. What David Icke calls the Illuminati. He said these two races of lizard people are having wars at different places around the galaxy. But they've signed a treaty that they will not fight on the planet Earth because they really like the planet Earth. The planet Earth is really cool to them. It's their vacation area. And I'm sitting there the whole time going, yeah, right. I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm kind of doubtful. When you see me in the interview, it's kind of like, I'm kind of like, yeah, sure. So this is going on. He tells me the story. He tells me that he's contacting me because I have the power to help to stop the evil Illuminati. And that the good lizards are going to work with me. I say, okay, sure, then he says, do I want to see the lizard? I said, sure. I didn't think anything, you know. Then he sat there and he kind of meditated, pulled his head back. He opened his eyes and his eyes turned like yellow lizard eyes. Okay? And then what I saw is kind of a smoky thing come out of his body that grew over his head like a big cobra. And it was kind of smoky, like it was a ghosty type thing. And then the eyes of the cobra opened up and they were bright yellow and they looked at me and I said, stop. It went back into him and he said, did you see it? I said, yes, I did. I've shot film all over the world. I've shot film. I've shot movies all over the world. Thousands of hours. And the only tape that we've ever had that broke was this one. And it broke exactly at the spot where we first see his yellow eyes. And it broke. And I don't know whether he did that or whatever. He didn't say anything. He said later that evening, I was performing at a restaurant in Cabo. It was a satellite restaurant. You go up with an elevator up in the air, and the whole restaurant rotates. And there's about 50, 60 people in the restaurant, and I was performing, and I started to sing. And he told me that the UFOs, the good Illuminati, were going to come and visit me. I said, fine. The 3 girls are with him, the 6 girls are with him, they're all dancing. Crazy night. I sang for like 4 hours. And a couple of times, some big ball of white light circled the restaurant. Great big thing, big as a room. Circled the restaurant, flew away, did it twice. And I said, are they coming? And he said, no, they decided not to. There was too much bad energy in the room. And that was the story. I have that tape if you write to me. So I believe that there are entities. I believe that there are aliens. Are they capable of doing that? Well, of course there are. So this is stuff we all have to be aware of.
Do you remember once you discussed with me something that you strongly believe that there are good and bad aliens?
Absolutely.
And some of them are taking over some human bodies to take
That's
action.
what I just said.
I know, but I mean there is a constant battle between
That's
good
what I
and
just
bad.
said, yeah.
And
I know you were looking at your social media, so you didn't listen.
no, I was wrong. No, I was wrong.
But that exactly, So yeah. And right now the social media thing is popped up, and the dependency that people have on the telephone, the reward that they get when their phone goes bing, they have to rush to their telephone to see what it says.
In that movie, what she just mentioned, the documentary movie about the
social dilemma.
Yeah, social dilemma. The mother tries to ask everybody to put the phone into a glass bottle just until they finish lunch.
The bottle's locked.
Yeah, and then the little girl goes into a frenzy and stands up and breaks the glass.
She picks up a hammer and breaks the bottle because she cannot wait. She must get her telephone now. The telephone is telling you you're not pretty enough. It's showing you pictures that have been crafted in Photoshop, and the telephone is telling you you're not pretty enough. You're not good enough. You don't deserve this. And that little bing is all you're going to get. Bing, and you're getting a message.
I was discussing with some the plastic surgeons and with many girls. And some of the girls are asking the surgeons to operate the face app and these beauty app filters because they want to look like how these beauty apps make their faces. And some people are in trouble what to do because they want to tell people that they have to tell.
This is dysmorphia, but there's anything that you look at long enough, you will find flaws with. You could find the most perfect thing that you've worked your entire life on. But if you look at it long enough, you'll find something else to do, because that's what the human brain does. The human brain looks for faults and finds them. So if you look at your face long enough, your body long enough, you will find faults. So how do we teach people about all these things? What can we do?
Meditation, acceptance.
I believe that we have to get them into a new type of news media. That's why I created IMFlix, to have a whole nother type of movies that will help to bring awareness and bring upgrade your social consciousness. And one of the things we find is that when people watch high resolution TV, there's an extra hypnotic effect that actually you can actually increase your intelligence by watching television that's not so high res, because then your brain has to work to kind of get the story. When you see the high res, it's too easy for your brain to believe that's real. So there's a lot of different things going on, but I just saw that what was going on by ABC, CBS, NBC, and now Netflix and all this stuff is that they're taking our intelligence down. They're not really bringing the good stories to us. They're showing us things that we'll pay for, not things that will benefit.
I believe that in the future we have to teach people how to love and accept themselves a lot more, and how they can believe in themselves. And the best way to do that is if they get feedback that they are doing something important. And education, telemed, learning, self-growth, self-development is the best way to help people to improve their self-esteem and their belief. Because if you have a positive feedback that what you do is respected and it increases your own value, then all these problems can be solved.
We need technology to help us, but not that we're going to get it.
Yeah,
we've got to be dependent on the technology.
And I think we need to look at getting back to or moving forward to our original, authentic, organic selves.
We have to learn to appreciate the life force of living. And right now, that's the strongest. And the reason the persecution of me is the fact that, with the crazy things they're trying to hurt me, is because I discovered that there was an absolute life force, and that there's a difference between the natural medicine and the synthetic. And oh my God, that is so threatening to the guy who makes, zero coke, the guy who, all this stuff, for somebody to come along and I prove the fact that stuff hurts you. And now, more and more scientists are joining in, but still, sales of zero coke are going through the roof.
And I think that people have to show more gratitude towards nature, spend more time in nature, grounding more, and also meditation and some more self-discovery. That's why we also announced to you that the shadow workshop would be a big step for a new start for people.
I have finished the tests for IMUNE, the final test, and I will have them next week.
Fantastic.
So then people will be able to take their test. I think they're about ready. I think they should have hit their 100 hours. And if they have the right mentor that can verify they've done the work, we're going to have the test ready. And basically, I'm going to tell you that I expect 98% out of the test. I think we all need to be on the same beam. I don't want to say I'm going to let people pass at 85 when that means 15% of the time they're fucking up. I don't believe that.
No.
I believe we should have a real high rate. And that means that if you don't get the test right the first time, take it again, okay? That's fine. Learn. The test is actually a learning process so that people will learn. But what we have is a completely new type of whole philosophy of life and medicine and philosophy.
And it is like even when you do your driving license, you have to know the rules and you have to pass a certain level of test, and this is the same. You don't want anybody to drive because it can cause accidents, and you don't want anybody to see people and diagnose and treat, because this is a very, very
so it's a big learning procedure. The tests are going to be important. We are offering a shadow workshop. I'm going to explain that here now.
That shadow workshop is going to be it's going to be amazing, particularly of December.
We haven't just scheduled the exact date. It's going to be around 2021, but it will be recorded. Now, what we're going to do, in the past, when I've done the shadow workshops, it's been experiential. We've all got people around the circle, and then we start experimenting with the shadow. We start at 11 o'clock at night. We go all night into the morning, till 6 o'clock in the morning, because most people have an extreme resistance to sharing their negative side. Now, I'm telling you, with our new shadow workshop this year, that you're going to be at home. There's nobody there to hear you when you start bringing out your shadow. It's confidential. I don't want people to be online. They're going to hear what I have to say. Now, if they need help, there's a button that they can hit to get help, etc. if they need it. But if not, they'll be able to confidentially be able to spill out the shadow, deal with it, make friends with it. It's one of the most powerful things you can do in the world. To build your light, you must face your darkness.
Well, I think the timing is absolutely appropriate, and it's going to be phenomenal. It's really going to be phenomenal.
Well, I've been working on it a little bit, sketching it out. We'll see how it goes. It'll be 100 shows to take. It'll be a 3-hour thing. Eventually, I'll put it into an act. But right now, and then if they do need support or whatever, we'll be there for them. And they could watch this at any time. They could give it to their patients.
And Andres made a special supplement for the workshop.
He's made a couple of supplements that will help, to tap on.
To increase the mental ability.
Yeah, to get the different hormones going, for the shadow. But it's going to be very interesting. And Carl Jung, talked about this, that in order to, really go forward, you have to deal with all the different parts, and basically all of us have a shadow. It's impossible to have yin without yang, and to have light without dark. It's impossible. We have night and day. This is the world. It's yin and yang.
And I think to transform, you need to take both into consideration if you really want to transform properly.
If you suppress a truth, you give it power. And suppressing the dark side of your personality gives that dark side power.
But if we all accept that we have a dark and a light side, and then that's the only way how we can balance everything, and we can keep a harmonic state of being.
That dark side can be the thing that saves your life now and then, because you need this. There's certain times that you need to have.
You cannot let it control your life, control your everyday.
The dark side should never be your master, and neither should the light side. The soul, the deep soul, which is neither dark nor light, the deep soul should be your master. And then the light side, the dark side, should be constructive tools that help you move through life. But you don't want the hammer to become the master.
No.
Tool. Because if the only tool you have is a hammer, you got to treat everything like it's a nail.
True.
So anyway, we're putting that together. We'll tell you more about it next week. I'll be talking about the test. We'll have the test ready for everybody to take. They can start getting their lessons. We're at the point where we are doing the final testing of the software to get all the buttons and everything ready. So we're very happy. Everything is coming together now. So I'm going to knock off for today.
Hey, Desi, just before you do, I want to say to you that we've been doing the Raising Humanity's Immunity to COVID over the weeks now. And I've seen lots of shifts in the emotional side where originally there was hopeless despair and all those tragic emotions. And recently now I've started to see ESP coming through. So I believe what we are doing collectively with the rest of the world is definitely shifting. We are definitely shifting, and maybe more people are waking up and becoming more aware of things. So after this, we're going to go into another one. We're gonna do this assessment again. And Desi, what we're also finding now is that the levels are remaining very high, 70s, 80s, 70s, 80s. So it's very quick to top up the levels.
Well, the news is much less people are dying. We are what we are doing is working. Now, maybe there's the scientists say, oh, well, they're learning how to treat it better. But whatever it is, less people are dying, but more people are getting it because it's an airborne virus. It's really almost impossible. It's almost impossible, to isolate it completely in a society.
Here in Hungary now, also on the streets, you have to wear the mask.
We have to wear masks, and they have everything on a lockdown. But how long? For 10 years? No, it's not productive, And then they're hoping that this vaccine is going to kick in. Of course, somebody's going to make a lot of money on that vaccine, But the news is that they have some vaccines that are working. I don't know. But eventually, another virus is going to come down the pipe because, there's people out there who...
Another influenza.
They're influencer, yeah.
Another influenza.
That's right.
And
yeah.
I find it very interesting that now we are on a strict lockdown, but before Christmas, 2 weeks before Christmas, everything will be open up again. Maybe the virus will go for a little skiing holiday, or I don't know.
Well,
unbelievable.
People are not going to sit still for
the whole year
for Christmas alone. Nobody's going to sit still for that. Well, I don't know what's going to happen, but basically, I think that what we are doing is helping the planet. So.
Me too. And just thanks to everyone, and thanks to you for sort of leading us in the beginning and showing us what to do, Desi.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rita.
I thank you that I could be there. Nice.
That's
okay.
awesome to have you. I think they're out. Okay, guys. Well, that was amazing. I got most of my answers, and I hope that you enjoyed the stories and everything. And there's always much more meaning to what Desi's telling us, and the way she speaks and everything. So re-listen to what she said. It was quite loaded, and well, we've got the information that we're looking for. From my side, I want to keep myself as alkaline as possible, and I want to keep my mineral level up, because my mineral level is giving me the conductivity and the electromagnetic field. So that's definitely what I do. And the water that I drink as well it's spring water, and it encourages connectivity also and conductivity within my body. So instead of drinking flat water. So I just think that that's another way of protecting myself against interference and influence, put it that way. And I think also by, your affirmations as well, that I'm going to be left alone and that I'm pure and my intelligence is mine, and that is also a very important thing to do on a day-to-day basis. So I'm very pleased about that. I'm pleased that she shared with us, and also about the senses. Very, very, very interesting too. So we've got a couple of you in the group. Usually we're going to do the Raising Humanity's Immunity to COVID. And as Desi said, the death rates are down. So that's a fact. The rest of it might be artificial, or however they're doing it, manipulating it, etc., etc. I think, as with everything, keep your awareness high, so that, forewarned is forearmed always, and be aware of the intense amount of toxicity and things that are floating around in the air and the water and the food, and detox yourself. That, to me, I think that's really the message. Detox, 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 because then we know what we're dealing with. And then if you detox physically, you'll end up detoxing mentally, emotionally, spiritually as well. Doctors from the East will say detox the emotions first and then the physical detoxes. So it's actually a bit of both, East meets West. So I'm happy with that. Anybody want to add anything? You're in the den this evening. You can see I'm in my office because the computer was here. So this is, I was saying to Desi, this is where the magic happens, right here. Anyway, it's been awesome having all of you, and I'm very honored and privileged. And well, we just keep moving forward, keep doing the courses, keep doing the lessons, and raising our intelligence, our knowledge. And who knows? Okay, those people that are going to get going with the devices as well, let's do it again for 24 hours. And I'm sure you're getting the same results as me, which are high values. And the emotions are really down. There's hardly, so just above 100. It's not even really, really scary. So, well, we've done things because we can see on the device and also the death rate. So that's just great. And anything more to share will come. I'm going to be running a daily, very short daily tune-in, if you like, at 7 o'clock South African time, every day between now and up till the 21st of December. I think Desi's not really talking on this level, but it's a huge turning point insofar as astrologically, insofar as closing off the whole Kali Yuga after the 26,000 years time period and moving directly into the age of Aquarius. I think it's Pluto and Saturn move out of Capricorn straight into Aquarius. So, expect a lot of things. Expect there could also be things, big solar flares. And I think things like solar flares are very cleansing on us, on our DNA, and enlightening for those who want to shift forward. I have definitely noticed the light is different. There is no question where I stay, the light is different. There is no question also that the birds seem to have, I don't know if it's everywhere. I'm in like a cocoon. I live in my oasis. But the birds have descended here, and there are just hundreds of birds singing all day long. So those are things that I've definitely noticed. And from an awake point of view, I'm definitely a lot more awake. It's got piles of energy. What I do as well is I make sure that, like I said, alkaline and the salts, and that almost gold, that is definitely helping regarding conductivity, connectivity, and the vibration. And the other one is the cell vitality. The oxygen drops, because they will they cause the cell vitality, the charge around the cell membrane to get activated positively from a charge, from the charge point of view. If you got that charge correct, then everything else is correct. So it's amazing, and I think that's what we've got to do. We've got to keep our conductivity up. I think if the conductivity is up, then the chances of us being affected negatively are very low indeed. So that our affirmations, that angel electroceutical, I'm going to go and find mine now. I did post on the group the video, and also that video, the sound from time to time was a little bit low, but I think you got the gist of it. So you all got the recording. Wendy, I'm not sure regarding other mentors. I mean, how many people there are actually going to be, going to be writing the exam. I'm not sure exactly. But anyway, I hope that you all getting all your, well, some of you be sending me quite a lot of your recordings, so that's good as well. So just keep on it. I mean, you must be getting quite close. And, you know, we've also done nearly every lecture already live. In fact, I think we've done virtually every lecture live. So every day at 7, I was going to start last week, but I just was waiting for the website guy to catch up and to load things for me. But definitely from probably tomorrow or Sunday. Tomorrow we can do it because it'll be report back from the humanities assessment. So probably from 7 o'clock tomorrow, come in. I've got all sorts of things I want to talk about and share and get you to share back and really compile a nice, intelligent, rich group of talks leading us up until the 21st. There's going to be massive transformation. There's no question about it. And I think that if we do this and we start fasting now and cleansing and cleansing and cleansing ourselves up until the 21st, and then we do the dark night, that I think is going to be auspicious. We will have death wearing their masks, that they won't take them off. Even if you tell them that COVID's over or it's not happening anymore, they won't even take their mask off. They're going to be too scared. I mean, it's actually hideous when you look at people walking around with these things and just not take. It's absolutely hideous. Anyway, let's be grateful that we are awake and be grateful for our devices as well. And yes, let's over to us. Let's go and key humanity in, and tomorrow at 7 we can get together, those who want to, and I will also post it on our groups, and we can start moving through some really nice chapters. I'm going to look at health, home, food, and economy, business. Nice, but short ones, eh? It won't be so long, so don't worry. Okay, thanks guys. Great evening, great sharing. Bye.